And based on sort of some of my personal experiences with anxiety, I have had sort of a keen interest in how to have a different relationship with it. Because our natural thing is to want to numb ourselves, to hide from it, to distract ourselves, to keep ourselves busy. But all those things that we are doing actually reinforce the fear around it. And we kind of subtly saying like that anxiety is a bad thing. We need to run like hell from it and we need to hide away from it. We've got to learn better coping tools. Otherwise, we're literally just putting a plaster on the issue that's just festering.
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Hello and welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kath, Kim, and Sue.
As you know, here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we believe in shining the light on all things bombastic and illuminating the folks who are stoking the fire in their souls one podcast at a time. So to continue our showcase of this beautiful global conscious parenting summit that's coming to you and all of us on August 8th, which is coming up soon. Mark your calendars. It's online. It's free. It's like a no-brainer. Get it together and get there. There's something for everyone, parent or not. So today we're going to highlight Jenna Diaz, and she is a registered counselor, neurofeedback practitioner, conscious parent, and life coach. She's her tagline. She's going to be talking about this at the Parenting Summit too. Is from worry to wonder, a playful path with anxiety. Love that because anxiety is around often, so you might as well play with it, I guess. And so she'll be sharing with us a little of how she brings play and brain science together and how it helped her and her kids understand anxiety in a kinder, gentler way, which is really neat. I love where that art and science mixes. So coming to us today from sunny Durban, South Africa, is Jenna, and welcome.
Thank you. And thanks so much for having me here.
Hey, Jenna. It's great to get a little how things going back in the motherland feedback. So good to have you here. Jenna, I wanted to start you off with a double-barreled question. The first thing is, what exactly is a neurofeedback practitioner? And the second part is, how did you get into that and then the conscious parenting field?
Okay. So I will start with the second question, how I got into it, because I was actually working in a psychiatric ward, 2 psychiatric wards here in Durban, and I was doing group therapy, and I absolutely loved it. What was just difficult over time is that you had these patients coming in that were just very, very medicated. So trying to do counseling or teaching them any forms of skills wasn't really working, because they weren't quite with it, and they weren't able to take anything in. And although some eventually did, there was just like, this over medication. There's a point to why we need to feel our feelings. Like, our feelings are there to kind of navigate us. So I then met a colleague who I was studying with, and she's German, and she had opened up her own practice, and we did our honors together. And she had told me a bit about neurofeedback that she was doing in her practice. And I was like, hell, that sounds so interesting. And at that point, I decided to move out of sort of the hospital setting and went into private practice with herself. And I then studied neurofeedback, and it's about doing basically what you do is you do a QEEG of the brain, and you look at someone's brainwave activity, and then you use computer software where you are basically showing the brain in real time how it's basically functioning. And then based on that, the brain can see whether it is regulated or dysregulated. So for example, you might be playing a brain game, and the spaceship will be moving faster and faster whenever you're in a nice, calm, relaxed frequency. But should you go beyond or below that window of tolerance and be, sort of daydream or drift off or get anxious, the spaceship will just slow down, and eventually seize, and you might lose the race or whatever it is. And what we're basically showing the brain is almost if you imagine someone doing a ballet practice with a mirror in front of them. You're showing your brain in real time basically how it's functioning. And based on that, the brain grows curious and interested in how to get back in sync because it also felt good. And so that trying and that practicing over and over, you start to create new neural pathways. And why this really interested me was that it took away some of the need for medication, and it was really kind of dealing with the problem as opposed to kind of just putting a plaster on it.
Right.
And that's kind of how I got into it. So alongside my typical counseling tools, now I had some form of sort of brain training that could help assist taking away maybe the need for medication or the side effects related to it, or with kids like on Ritalin, the need to maybe continue, upping the dosage. And that's how I got into it.
Wow. That sounds awesome.
That is
Quite a
so
roller
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. The brain looking at itself function. That's absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Just trying to
yes.
wrap my
And
head around that for a minute.
Yeah, because we don't understand that the brain is a product of the environment. So if you in a certain environment, or if you've been told the same story over and over again, what happens is the brain starts to believe that. And yeah, so if you can change, even we say to people, you're coming for neurofeedback, but also the environment is also exceptionally important. So if you are also trying to, for example, do brain training, and someone is, for example, going back to the same toxic environment or eating the same sort of foods that aren't helping, or plugged behind a TV or a TV game, that is also counteractive. So there's also a level of onus of responsibility with the parent or the adult doing the brain training, like going for gym for your body. That's exactly what we're basically doing, is now you're going to gym for your brain, because your brain literally is a muscle. Yeah.
There's so much hope in that. I mean, behind the science of really knowing what's happening, what isn't working, even.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
So that machine that you're talking about, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but is that just in the doctor's office that they can see their brain functioning?
So yes, we have them. We have them in our private practice, but there are lots of different devices, and there are some that you can sort of purchase. I don't know about the quality of them, but sort of homemade devices that you can purchase, which apparently do something similar. But you don't necessarily have a trained physician there who can maybe interpretate or adjust the settings. With those, it's kind of like a one size fits all. And from what we know, like no brain requires the same treatment. So you really kind of need to fine tune it, and the feedback from the patient from session to session is incredibly important. Like, how did you sleep? Were you a little bit more on edge? Were you a little bit more awake or alert? So that kind of helps you fine tune the protocol going forward for them.
That's amazing, Jenna.
Incredible.
And then tell us a little bit about your anxiety work.
So that is quite personal, because I think, with most people, we've all had our fair share or our journey with anxiety. So I think it's quite safe to normalize it. And it's becoming more and more apparent. I think it's our lifestyle, the use of technology, our brain being sort of divided into many different devices or things at the same time, as we're trying to just manage life and the pace at which it's with which it is going. And so with me having my kids, and funny enough, I kind of learned it with Shafali. My boys are 18 months apart. And as my eldest turned sort of 18 months, the new one came into play. And that's when they go through developmentally that separation anxiety. And here mom came home with a new, younger version. And it was like mom was literally having an affair. And the older one was really upset, like, how dare this guy? And naturally, he's been my more anxious child. And that has been so interesting to kind of watch. And based on sort of some of my personal experiences with anxiety, I have had sort of a keen interest in showing him and teaching him how to have a different relationship with it. Because our natural thing is to want to numb ourselves, to hide from it, to distract ourselves, to keep ourselves busy. But all those things that we are doing actually reinforce the fear around it. And we kind of subtly saying like that anxiety is a bad thing. We need to run like hell from it and we need to hide away from it. But the more you do it, it's like a kid with as they start going to bed and they're like, Mom, there's a monster under my bed. Or they say, close the cupboard completely so nothing can pop out. And if you don't look under the bed or open the cupboard, that fear becomes more and more creative and they build up that fear even more. And that's what we are generally actually doing on a day-to-day basis. We're never touching base with self or confronting it. We're creating a generation that's kind of running from it and trying to numb and distract themselves. And that's where medication, I'm not entirely it has its place, but it doesn't always solve the issue. We've got to learn better coping tools. Otherwise, we're literally just putting a plaster on the issue that's just festering.
Brilliant. Isn't that true too about the things that the story you create about the scary thing that you're not looking at, right? I mean, it over time gets more teeth, more, superpowers. And really it's like this little mouse behind a shadow or something. Like it's nothing often. So you bring like a curiosity about it, right? So to help
Yes.
people, children, look at that thing with less fear instead of numbing against it, kind of going in and being curious, like, why are you there? Are you there?
Yeah. And understanding that part of you is there solely to protect you. So why are we running from something that is trying to ensure our survival? Surely we should welcome it. We should learn how to dance and play with it and help sort of calm that area or that part of ourselves so that we can hold the duality of being scared as well as brave at the same time.
Yeah, that's perfect.
One of the things I've sort of been playing with is like loving all those things, and for me, it's been fear lately. So I'm trying to, say, thank you for keeping me safe, fear. I love you. Let's do this. You know what I mean? Like instead of being like, oh my God, I'm so scared, just random fears that pop into your heads. And there's a lot of potential for fear these days, with everything that's going on in the world. If you pay too much attention to the news, you'll be living in it for sure.
Yeah. And that's something I don't do. Sorry to interrupt. Living in South Africa, I mean, you're on the news, listening on the way to school. It's something I don't turn on because, parents aren't aware, but kids absorb everything. So they can develop the secondary trauma by literally listening to what is happening to everyone else. So just protecting them and making them aware that there's certain things that you can control. Where you put your mind is what you're going to experience and feel, because your brain literally doesn't know the difference between sort of reality or perception. So we've got to look after it and put it in places and environments that sort of nurture it, because we know that exists, like real fears do exist, but we don't have to live there time and time again by listening to the news or just following News 24 and just putting our nervous system into such a dysregulated state, which only then affects the rest of the day and our interactions.
That's such a great point. Brilliant. Jenna, and then also you have your Monday talks for mental health. Tell us a bit about that.
Sure, you've done your homework, eh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So on Mondays, I do talks on conscious parenting on the October Health app. And it's a really cool app. Someone contacted me because they were very interested in the conscious parenting, because that's definitely hitting the world at a rate and storm that it never has. And it's beautiful that it's gaining momentum and interest. And that's how they reached out to me. And October Health is actually an international mental health app, but it was created for the workplace. But what they have found that, interestingly enough, the two most interesting topics is grief and parenting. So every Monday at 10 a.m. South African time, I do an insert on conscious parenting. It might be on anxiety or anger or big emotions, but just tailor make it around the theme of conscious parenting. Yeah.
That sounds like a great app to have. Are there other speakers that go on that too, obviously, right?
Yeah, and international speakers. So this evening, I actually have a gentleman he's a model, actor, and a Mr. South Africa finalist who I'm going to be talking to. And it's all about raising conscious boys to become emotionally attuned and available men, which is so dear to my heart because I've got my two boys and I want them to grow up being aware of their emotions so that so their future wives can thank me later.
Absolutely. Amen to that. That's wonderful. Thinking about the boys and they have all these different challenges today in this world. And I was talking to Alia on my Instagram live, but we were talking about how there's this term, happy wife, happy life. And I'm like, well, how does that make sense? And so I tell my boys, don't be buying into that stuff. There's happy spouse, happy house. That's a little better. But also, we're the only ones that can make ourselves happy. So all these people are looking outwards for somebody to make the wife happy. Like that's their mission in life. I just feel like all these little boys are running around trying to make their wives happy. I'm like, what is going on?
Isn't that funny?
Absolutely.
There's so many things around that. I'm sorry to interrupt. There's so many things around that too, because we were raised like, you'll make a great wife for somebody someday. Like you lose yourself when you hear a lot of those concepts growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, Kim, we're so wanting to change the person on the outside because that is far easier than daring to look at myself in the mirror. I don't want to do the work. I expect my child to do the work or for my husband to do the work or the outside to miraculously change because that's way more comfortable.
Yes. Everybody make me happy. Come on.
Go team.
That's right. And then Jenna, would you have any advice for a pregnant couple?
Ooh. For a pregnant, I think it would be to realize that while you're pregnant, you start creating all these ideas and dreams and aspirations of what it is going to look like. And often I see that it's these very expectations that leads to the parental suffering. Because when you paint a picture of what it's going to look like, your child is sure to come and just completely take that picture and just like throw it to, because so I think if you go in kind of knowing like you can't expect your child to fulfill your untold story or your unmet life as when you were younger. So you've got to love the child in front of you versus the child that you wished you had or never had.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That sounds dead on. So Jenna, then at Bombastik Broadcasting, we like to say that a rising tide lifts all boats. So let us know what you offer. I know you have your practice.
Yeah, so in private practice, I do the neurofeedback, but you cannot do that remotely or online. So there are a hell of a lot of neurofeedback practitioners worldwide. I would say that neurofeedback is maybe more popular or more known in sort of the States, in other regions. So I can't offer that online, but definitely the one-on-one online coaching, whether it be, sort of the conscious parent coaching, life coaching, and then just sort of the registered counseling. Yeah. And,
okay.
Sorry, been a bit sick. Workshops.
Okay, great. Are those online or live or both?
Online.
Okay, great. Yeah, so everybody get registered for the Global Conscious Parenting Summit, consciousonthegrow.com. Register now.
Jenna, will you give us your website address and your social handles?
Sure, it's Jenna Diaz Conscious Living. So you can find that either on Instagram or sorry.
Well, I'm just gonna say that again because Jenna has a horrible cough, but you can get on her website at www.conscioustherapy.co.za. And that's it from Bombastik Broadcasting. Be kinder, be gentler, and be a lover of all your anxiety, fear, and other foibles.
Wake up. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on, shit crazy. So I decided to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibes, sorry I ain't got nothing for you, why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride, proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything we doing, showing love, and I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna come down, but I gotta
wake up.
Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to
wake up.
Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Most.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding.